Did you know that Thailand is one of the few countries in the world to never be colonized? It's true, and over the next few days, we'll be exploring ancient ruins, gold-plated palaces, and the modern capital of Bangkok to show you exactly what an uncolonized and uniquely Thai country looks and feels like. And we're going to start in Thailand's ancient capital of Ayutthaya. We didn't have to ride a train this morning, but we absolutely did. Hour and 30 minutes to Ayutthaya.
It's still a little early for me.
12 seconds later.
So this is actually really cool. As we've been riding a train out to Ayutthaya, there's a lot of construction going on right next to the rail. So I looked it up. Thailand doesn't currently have any operational high-speed rail lines, but oh boy are they planning to have a lot. And in fact, what we're riding next to is the construction of their very first high-speed rail line that'll connect somewhere in the northeast. I think I might have to come back one day and ride it. After it's done, of course. Should be much faster than this.
We made it to Ayutthaya station. The train was super easy. And I can say that because I slept the entire time. Now it's time to go find a tuk-tuk so we can explore Ayutthaya and all of the temples there. It'll be interesting to compare it to what we saw in Angkor Wat.
Definitely a different kind of tuk-tuk experience as compared to Angkor Wat. This tuk-tuk's got some bass. Look at that. Last week, Alexa and I were in Cambodia where we explored all of Angkor Wat, which was another ancient capital. But I gotta say, this one, while it looks similar, definitely has some key differences. For one, we are in the middle of a city. Angkor Wat is kind of on the outskirts of Siem Reap. The Ayutthaya temples and palaces, they're right in the middle of the still lived-in city of Ayutthaya. But also, because it's still in a city, these temples have just been taken care of a lot better. There was not really a big need for mass rebuilding efforts or conservation efforts in the same way that Angkor Wat has. So it kind of gives a more modern feel, for lack of a better word. Still very pretty though. Specifically, the temple we're at right now is Wat Chai Prat, which is, of course, a Buddhist temple, hence the Buddha. So it's not actually the palace, which we're gonna see in a little bit, but there is something really cool to see as we climb up the stairs. Another giant Buddha. Always more stairs with these old temples. Stairs and stairs and stairs.
We're about to leave Wat Yai Chai, and just a little bit of commentary on some of the statues as you walk around. They each have a different face, a different facial expression. There's something slightly different about each of them, which is really impressive because there's what, like maybe 100? There's a lot of them and they're all unique and different. So it's really cool to walk around and pay attention to those details.
Just hanging with my homies. One of the reasons why Alexa and I woke up so early and got on such an early train is because it is just so incredibly hot here in Bangkok right now, or in southern Thailand. I don't know if we could have picked a hotter time to come here, to be honest. One thing to note as Alexa and I wander around the ancient city of Ayutthaya here is that this is not the same as the Thailand that we know today. It was the precursor to Thailand. The Ayutthaya kingdom existed somewhere around 1450 up until the late 1700s. And there's a very good reason why the capital of Thailand is no longer in Ayutthaya. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Of course, Ayutthaya maintains as an important part of Thai history and the country we know today. So we can't really talk about Thailand without talking about Ayutthaya. You know, if this was Angkor Wat, we'd be able to go up there right now. This is what Angkor Wat's gonna look like in 10 years. I guarantee it.
It's about 10 a.m. and it is 85 degrees. I would do anything to be able to run through those sprinklers right now. It is so hot and humid right now. If you look closely in the window area there, you can see a statue body. You can tell that it's kind of leaning. And I wonder if there's a foundation issue. Obviously these are really old buildings, but it's interesting to see just the lean starting to happen.
Construction tip, anytime there's a lean of a building, it's a foundation issue.
All right, we're on our super cool tuk-tuk. We were able to get this one right outside the train station. It was super easy. There were a lot of different tuk-tuk options. We went with the first one. We're not picky. We're taking the tuk-tuk for 4 hours, and that cost us 1,200 baht, or about $35 US. We think that's pretty affordable for being able to see a bunch of different temples in 4 hours. So I know we keep comparing this to Angkor Wat, but it's still really fresh in our brains. I think what really impressed me about Angkor Wat was that there was so much life just growing inside the temples. And what's really interesting here in Ayutthaya is that it's very manicured, it's very well taken care of. You see a lot of grass and trees, but you're still seeing hints of life growing throughout the temple. So right above me over here, you can start to see plants growing in the bricks. So you still get a little bit of that even here in Ayutthaya.
So it's at this point that you might be wondering, why does Thailand seem to have 3 separate names? Ayutthaya, Siam, and Thailand. And there's actually a very good reason for this. So the original people of Ayutthaya actually did call themselves Thai, and they called their kingdom Krong Thai, which meant land of the Thai people. So that's the direct connection between Thailand and Ayutthaya. So where did Siam come from? This whole episode is about how Thailand avoided colonization, but that doesn't mean that there wasn't some influence here and there. Siam was actually the word given to Thailand by the European colonizers and explorers during the 1600s. In fact, it likely originated from an old Sanskrit word that meant dark-skinned people. At one point, Thailand was actually called Siam, and that change happened in the early 1900s. But today, it's back to being called Thailand.
You can see the bats. Oh, and you can hear them, but you can definitely see them.
I have an irrational fear of bats.
Alexa's not having any of it. Another ancient Ayutthaya temple down.
I don't know how many more to go. We've made it to the next set of temples, and as you can see behind me, you have an opportunity to ride elephants. I would say don't do it. It is not a humane practice to do this with elephants. You can see their feet are chained. It takes a lot to train an elephant, so my point though, just don't do it. They used to do this in Angkor Wat and they stopped over 10 years ago, and I hope that Ayutthaya starts to stop this practice as well.
Just take a tuk-tuk, guys. Way better. And cruelty-free. Well, I don't know how well the tuk-tuks are treated.
But if you really do want to see an elephant, there are ethical sanctuaries throughout Thailand, throughout Southeast Asia, but also once again, make sure you do your research so you're not visiting one that is only claiming to be ethical and is actually not ethical.
So it's at this point that you might be wondering what happened to the Ayutthaya kingdom, because it is different from the Thailand we know today. As it turns out, This whole city was sieged and destroyed in the 1700s. Neighboring Burma, today known as Myanmar, has always had a contentious relationship with Siam, Thailand, and the Ayutthaya. And at one point, they invaded, destroyed the city, and that was the impetus for moving the capital from here in Ayutthaya down to where it is still today, Bangkok. It also marks the period where the Ayutthaya kingdom and the Ayutthaya period ends and the kingdom of Siam begins, which eventually turns in to Thailand.
As we're walking around the Grand Palace here in Ayutthaya, it looks very similar to the Grand Palace in Bangkok. And this is partly because Thailand was never colonized. Therefore, all of the palaces still look very Thai instead of British or French, which isn't the case for neighboring Vietnam or Myanmar, both of which were colonized. And you can see the impacts of that colonization through its architecture.
As it gets later in the day, I am getting shinier, hotter, and sweatier. I wasn't made for this heat. I'm from the Pacific Northwest. It may be really hot, and those are a lot of stairs, but we're here, and we gotta climb to the top. Bruh. Oh boy.
We made it to the top. Geoff and I circled around to try and find the shade. This little triangle is the only amount of shade in this whole temple. And it's still really warm. But we made it and it's beautiful. And the views are pretty spectacular.
Okay, it was pretty small in there, but it was kind of cool to see. A little Buddhist shrine. We had to be silent, be respectful, of course. Reminded me just slightly of the Cu Chi tunnels in Vietnam. Completely different context though. And now, all the way back down. We've made it to our final temple here in Ayutthaya. And I wanted to show you guys this one specifically, not just because it is very bright white and has a lot of gold left on it, but also because it's one of the newest temples of the Ayutthaya kingdom. This one was built in the 1800s and provides the clearest link between the Bangkok and Thailand we know today and the Ayutthaya kingdom that existed before it. And that brings up a really good point, sort of the point of this entire episode. Why wasn't Thailand colonized? Well, there's always a lot of variables that go into it. It's really kind of a simple answer. Thailand wasn't colonized because to the east was the French colonial empire in Indochina, which included Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam. And to the west was the British colonial empire in Myanmar. And the two colonial powers opted to keep Thailand independent to be used as a buffer state. And so that's why we still get the very unique Thai culture today that is kind of without a lot of the influences of European colonial culture. And with that said, we're gonna head back to Bangkok now to show you guys exactly what a uniquely Thai culture looks like. Good morning. Super fun exploring the ancient capital of Thailand yesterday, seeing all of the temples and shrines. But today is all about the modern capital of Thailand, Bangkok. We're gonna head to the Grand Palace to show how Thailand has become a uniquely Thai experience. Now that doesn't mean that it's not a modern city. As you can hear and see, there's plenty of buildings and traffic, just like any other city in the world. But it also is distinctly uncolonized. And we're gonna show you exactly what that feels like today. Now, Bangkok's a really large city, about 17 million people total, and it's also pretty spread out, which means we need to take the metro for about 45 minutes. It's a really big city. Just like with Vietnam's new metro station, in Bangkok, you can just scan your credit card. Much easier than Japan. We just got off the metro here in Bangkok, and let me just say, super comfortable ride. In fact, all of this looks so new, and it actually kind of is. The first line here in Bangkok opened in 2004, and it was actually this blue line that we just rode right now. Today, there's a lot more lines, as you can see. They crisscross the city as best as they're able. That said, despite there being an extensive metro network and Bangkok being such a huge city, not a whole lot of people here in Bangkok actually ride the metro. According to what I could look up on Wikipedia, the most recent counts were about 216 million people rode the Bangkok metro in 2024. And that might sound like a lot, but that actually places it about 60th in terms of total metro systems in the world. There are cities much smaller that have more ridership, such as Toronto's metro system. And Toronto doesn't have much of a metro system at all. Anyways, we are here at the Grand Palace, or at least the station of the Grand Palace. So let's go head out and check it out.
A few moments later.
Jeff and I just took a little break at a cafe, get some smoothies, little snacks. And while we were in there, we think there was an earthquake that happened. It was very disorienting to kind of feel everything move, but it didn't feel like a normal earthquake. Living in, Oregon and California, have experienced a lot of earthquakes in the past, but this one felt different, and it was really interesting to see people kind of running around, like trying to figure out what's going on the block we were on. But then as we kept walking, other areas were completely fine and nobody even left their cafes or restaurants or whatever. Also, this is not an area that generally gets a lot of earthquakes, but yeah, it's a very weird experience.
Everywhere around the palace, I've been seeing people wearing, men especially, wearing pants with little elephants on them. And I thought it was really funny. I was like, oh, everybody's buying these weird elephant pants. As it turns out, I'm not allowed to wear shorts. And so, I'm now the very proud owner of my own elephant pants.
Stylish!
Sexy. That's sexy right there. Remember yesterday when I said we were going to see some very similar things to Ayutthaya in the Grand Palace? Ta-da! Very Thai.
I'm glad we were able to figure out how to get into the Grand Palace. Jeff has his pants on. It's just so funny because it looks like he's wearing his pajamas, just strolling around the Grand Palace in his pajamas. It's quite the look.
I'm melting. So hot. Alexa and I are taking a little break from the heat, found a nice shady spot to sit. So I figured this would be a good time to talk a little bit about the history of the Grand Palace here in Bangkok. When we left Ayutthaya yesterday, we talked a little bit about how the city was sieged and sacked and basically destroyed in the 1760s. And that's what prompted the capital to be relocated to here in Bangkok. The construction of the Grand Palace here began in 1782, so just about 15 years after Ayutthaya was destroyed. So if you can imagine it, what Ayutthaya looked like back in the 1700s is probably pretty close to what the Grand Palace looks like today. Again, it's just showing that clear connection between the ancient Ayutthaya kingdom and the Thailand that exists today, with no colonialism intermixed. I just can't say it enough. It's a very uniquely Thai place to be. So much of this reminds me of what Thang Long Palace in Hanoi should have been like. Had Vietnam not been colonized and Thang Long Palace slowly but surely destroyed by the French, it might still look something similar to this, very Vietnamese. That is one solid gold building right there. I don't think it's real gold, but, or maybe it is, I don't know.
Quick earthquake update. So There was actually an earthquake that happened. There was a 7.7 earthquake that hit Myanmar. It was felt all the way down in Bangkok, where we are right now. A lot of damage, unfortunately, in Myanmar, and some damage actually happened in Thailand as well.
Pretty sure that's where the king lives.
It's been really fun checking out the Grand Palace. It's beautiful, but it's also pretty warm, and we need to continue to explore Bangkok. So we are heading to Icon Siam, where hopefully we can beat the heat and see a really cool mall. Not just any mall, a very cool mall.
Now that I'm out, I can remove the shame of these pants. Let these pretty legs fly free. Alexa won't let me get rid of these because, as she says, she has new pajama pants. So I guess they're coming with. Well, we had a really fun day planned. So we were going to go to Icon Siam by boat. Unfortunately, it appears that Icon Siam is closed because of the earthquake. We're going to try and make our way home and see what waits us at our hotel, because apparently some of the buildings have gotten damaged too. Don't know if our hotel has, but we're going to find out. The metro completely closed down. So now we have to take a tuk-tuk back to our hotel. And it was expensive.
But it really is the only way that we're going to be able to get back home, because there is so much traffic and the tuk-tuks can travel more easily through the traffic.
Wish us luck.
A few minutes later.
Well, after about 3 hours riding in a tuk-tuk, walking for another 30 minutes through the hot, hot heat here in Bangkok, Alexa and I have finally made it back to our hotel. The city is definitely in a state of panic, traffic everywhere, but we are safe and our hotel and belongings are all in perfect condition. So I think we're just gonna call it a night and just see what's happening tomorrow in Bangkok, because I really don't know.
Good news. Everything that was closed yesterday from the earthquake is now open. So we're gonna go check out Icon Siam. Let's do it.
The good news about being delayed by a day is that we now get to ride Bangkok's L train. We are not going underground, especially with all these earthquakes happening. Whoa! We could have just taken a grab to Icon Siam, but we decided to take a boat. Bangkok's a river city. I guess they have an extensive ferry system. Couldn't pass it up. I gotta say, this is super duper easy. We have a straight shot from where our train dropped us off to Icon Siam, boarded almost immediately, and it only cost us 8 baht each. 16 baht total. That rounds out to just under 50 cents.
Now you might be wondering, why are we going to a mall? Here's the thing, it's not just any mall. Yes, there are stores where you can shop, there's some food you can eat, and like a theater you can visit. But Icon Siam is so much more. First, it's along the river, and they have this beautiful area that's interactive. There's kites, there's flower puppy things. It's cool. There's also great music. I like this song. I love Post Malone. But inside, there's so much more. This area also has a floating market within the mall. There's luxury high-end shopping. There's also residences. People live here. There's hotels. There's so much to do and see at Icon Siam that it is a spot for tourists and people who live in Bangkok to come and visit. And it's uniquely Bangkok. So let's go check it out.
In a few weeks, Alexa and I are gonna be spending a full 24 hours in the Singapore airport. And I gotta imagine, it's gonna be just like this. I was a little skeptical about coming to a mall. I just didn't know how cool it would actually be. But there is some fun geography here. Right behind me is the food hall of Icon Siam. And within that, there are different sections for each part of Thailand. And each section corresponds with the geographic region and the food that would be associated with that area. So there's the northeastern region, the central region, the southern region, and I think the northern region. I just think that's really neat, and it adds this little extra geographic flair to otherwise just sort of a shopping mall. So that's how it got me. We may just be an eensy bit lost here because we don't know where we are. This is definitely one of those situations where every once in a while you're like, did I walk by that already? Did I walk by that already? Have we been here already? I think it's designed this way, keep us trapped. It's funny, we came here to go to the fanciest mall in Thailand, apparently. And what we ended up getting was, I guess, mock imitation of street food. So I have here just some fried noodles and then some pork dumplings. I will say, it's not bad, pretty good, yum.
I have been looking forward to trying roti since I knew I was coming to Thailand. Basically, it's like a pastry, and we got the banana one. So it's the pastry, they cook it, they add the banana, and then fry it up, and then they add like sweet condensed milk. And then I have a side of Nutella because Geoff doesn't like Nutella, so then I can control how much Nutella I get on each bite. Sweet, but not too sweet. You taste the banana, like the cooked banana is really yummy. I think I might need another one.
It's slowly dawning on me that this was just a ploy by Alexa to come to the mall. I will say though that this place just keeps going up and up and up. It is deceptively large. It might be the largest mall in the world as far as I know. There's also a whole concert hall here at the very top. Oh, it is not the very top.
We're not at the top.
Still not the top. I thought we were at the top.
Meanwhile,
Made it to the club. Icon Siam is super fun, but there's two reasons why it's really hard for me to be here. One, I feel very underdressed. People are in fancy attire, and we just couldn't bring that stuff when we were traveling for 4 months. It just didn't make it in our suitcases. And number two, there is so much good shopping, and I already have a full suitcase. I can't add anything else to it. Means I'll just have to come back to Bangkok at some point.
Unfortunately, our time here at Icon Siam has come to an end, and we only have one more stop here in Bangkok where we're going to conclude the episode. It's got to be the giant Ferris wheel. Once again, I've been convinced to go on something that goes up very high. Ooh, that is a steep drop. We're about to go down. Whoa, I don't like it. We're still going up. The ever so slight rocking is unnerving. Well, this has been kind of a weird episode, if we're being honest. We had a lot planned, a lot more planned, I should say. But because of an earthquake, we simply weren't able to do as much of it as we wanted to. That's just the reality of the situation.
The biggest takeaway for this episode is that Thailand has never been colonized, and therefore it is uniquely Thai. And while we couldn't show you everything in the country, we were hoping to show you some things that just showcase that unique Thainess.
Now that said, next week we are going to another part of Thailand, to the National Park of Khao Yai. So come back then,
for another adventure. See you then. Oh my god.
Of colonial Europea.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, like that. Oh yeah. I just like how it fits my form.
Oh god. And over to my right, I don't know why I'm acting like I'm selling the place. And over here, I don't know what to say. There's a concert hall.
What's up? How you guys doing?